Hello, everyone. I am Jacob Freining, Director of Commercial Sales with Mullen Automotive. We are pleased to have with us a special guest today. I'll let him introduce himself and talk a little bit about who he's with.
Hi, I'm Stephen Topham. I'm with Native Poppy. We are a florist in San Diego County, California. We have 2 retail locations and our warehouse, and we do deliveries all throughout San Diego County.
Awesome. So Stephen, just tell us a little bit about, how you came about researching and finding, the Mullen van.
Yeah, we had a disastrous flood at the end of January here in San Diego that took our fleet of 3 Nissan NV200s down to just 1. And we couldn't limit our operations. We had to keep delivering. So we immediately started looking for options. And going electric had always been something in the back of my mind to do probably near the end of the 2020s. Ideally, as our next move once our vans kind of spent their life cycle, but I was hoping to get a few more years out of them. So I kind of rushed to see what the options were, found that there's no hybrid cargo vans at all, really, and that all of the manufacturers of internal combustion engine vans had just ceased production. There's essentially 4 models, and all of those manufacturers had stopped. So the option became buy a used ICE with probably high mileage and no warranty, or an electric van. And so looking through the electric options, it became pretty clear that a lot of the manufacturers of electric vans were building for big, massive fleets. They were trying to aim at people like UPS, where they could sell tons and tons of units and just get off the ground. And they also were building massive machines that were too big for our uses, where as a local flower deliverer, we're trying to keep nimble. We want to be safe. We want to be able to manufacture or get through small streets pretty easily. So as I was researching, the Mullen came up, and it was the only one that was the right size. The price point was amazing, and it wasn't advertised or really limited in its website. It felt approachable. It felt like that was a van that was for me as a small business.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely, the feedback we've been getting. And you definitely mentioned, the inability to really obtain a Transit Connect, ProMaster City, NV200. But even with those used vehicles still being on the market, how did you feel that the cargo space, the floor length, kind of matched up with the Mullen versus, some of those competitors?
Yeah, when the Mullen got dropped off to us, the first thing I did was open up the back hatch. So I was so eager to see the cargo space. And the moment it opened up, I was blown away. I was pretty much sold at that point. Like, this will solve all of our problems. The Nissan NV200 is fine with cargo space, but it's still pretty limited. And we have large events all the time where we have to figure out, okay, how are we going to do this? Or we end up renting another van. The Mullen's cargo space is really going to solve that problem in a lot of ways, where we'll be able to just send one van. It'll limit our costs, and we'll feel much better about how we can lay out everything in the van.
Awesome. As far as range goes, obviously, with EV vehicles, having type of range anxiety is definitely something that some customers bring up and can encounter. As far as how we performed to what our stated range was and what your expectations were, how did that line up with the view?
Yeah, exactly. In Mullen's literature, they list, I think, 110 miles. And then the Mullen itself lists how many available range it has. And the unit that we were demoing, I think daily, said it had about a 116 in range, which is fine. It's good. Driving all throughout San Diego County, we do about 2 routes a day. So we have to hit pretty much from South Bay, San Diego, all the way to Oceanside, which averages our routes to 92 miles per route last year. But we have some routes that go to about 120, 130 miles. So it's just right on the threshold of being able to be perfect for us. Cargo EVs seem to be a little limited in their battery power compared to the ones that people can buy for normal residential use. But when we demoed it for the 2 weeks, we found that we weren't nearly as hamstrung as I kind of thought we might be when we're just a little under or close to our average. We started out being very soft with it, giving it 70-mile route, 80-mile route. And then very quickly, I dialed that up to a 115-mile route. And it performed incredibly well on that 115-mile route. It got back to the warehouse just fine. And then I decided to take it out for another spin just to see how far it could go, because it still had 20% battery left showing, and it showed available mileage. And I just wanted to see how far it would go. And so I just took it around on the freeway a little bit, and then on surface streets for a while, just driving in circles. And once I got the battery down to about 8%, it started to lose the ability to really accelerate, and it just stayed to about 30 miles per hour, which was totally fine. I got back to the warehouse, super safe. I had logged 132 miles on that test route, and it really gave me the peace of mind to be able to give a driver a route that goes to the limit potential of the Mullen of 116, 110, whatever is stated, and feel comfortable that the driver will be able to get back to the warehouse. Even if it is on surface streets at 30 miles per hour, I won't have to send a rescue team for that driver.
Right. So basically, even though our stated range is, 110, we kind of erred on the side of under promising and over delivering, right? And you said we got over 130 miles done on one of the days?
Yeah, exactly. 132. Yeah.
Okay. And during that, that wasn't just driving too, right? What was the average, kind of daily usage for it? And were you making stops every day?
Yeah, our routes have about 20 stops per day. And there were some routes that the Mullen did that were very condensed within the main city area. So it did, I think, 25 stops on its maximum route. But yeah, generally about 20 stops, and a lot of stop and go. And you have to put it into neutral mode and pull the handbrake. And my driver had no problem with that process, being a little different than a normal internal combustion engine vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole matter of delivering out of it was just very easy, because there's just so much space when the side doors open up. That was broader space than is available on the cars that we have used in the past. And then the back hatch just has so much space available to it. So
awesome. So as far as daily usage goes, how many hours a day were you utilizing it, do you think?
For nearly the full 8 hours. So our drivers show up at 9 o'clock. They load up. They're usually on the road by 10 o'clock. And then our last deliveries are supposed to be in hand to our customers by 6 o'clock. And there were multiple days within that demo period where my driver was out until 6 o'clock.
Okay. So the range really, it's not affected by the fact, in your opinion, was it affected by the fact that, not only were you driving and making stops, but the vehicle's probably idling and on, right, for a full 8-hour day?
Yeah. And that's actually a really important thing for us, in that as florists, we have to keep these flowers in the cold chain for as long as possible. The moment they get out of that, they start dying faster. So the AC running constantly is very important to us. And with all EV vehicles, they give you kind of a change in the range when you turn on the AC, and the Mullen is no different. Mm-hmm. As soon as you turn on the AC, the expected mileage dips a bit. And I asked my driver, who was running these routes every day, how that worked out when we give them a 115-mile route, but the AC is taking off an expected 10 miles or so. They never had a problem. They stuck to our rules of having the AC running the entire time, especially when they're idling and pulling up for the next stop. And so on that route where I did 132 miles, it's almost as if it did more miles because of that whole AC relationship running the entire time.
So the day it went 130 miles, not only were you making stops and it was on the road for 8 hours, but the AC was on as well?
Yeah, the whole time.
Okay.
And the AC is supposed to be on at max the whole time too, so.
Yeah.
And then just for my peace of mind too, when I'm doing routes, I just hate that feeling of idling in front of someone's house while I'm pulling up the next stop, which can take upwards of 5 minutes sometimes as we're trying to figure out, make sure we're going to the right spot. When you're doing that in an EV, you have no concern about just dumping pollutants in front of your customer's house. So it's just a nicer feeling.
That's definitely a very polite, progressive way of thinking, too. That's something that a lot of people probably don't even consider, but the pollution that you're giving in front of a customer's home, definitely something to think about. The last question really would kind of be around charging, right? How are you able to integrate charging the vehicle into your day-to-day operations, and did it hinder your operations at all, in your opinion?
Yeah, we currently rent our warehouse space in San Diego. Things are pretty pricey here, so we don't really want to improve the infrastructure of our landlords too much. We have since we've decided to move forward with Mullen, we're not going to purchase one. We put in a simple 50 amp outlet, and we got a charging cable that's capable of 40 amps there, which is what I had at my home where we were charging the Mullen through this demo period. So just a simple level 2 charger, as they're called. And I would set it up with a simple timing switch to click on after rates decreased in San Diego, which is after 9 p.m. And then it just needed to be ready at 100% charge by 9 a.m. when my driver showed up. So with it clicking on each night after 9 p.m., we never had an issue. It was always ready to go at 100%. And when checking the charging times, it was usually about 4-5 hours kind of on the max end to go like from that full 8% when I did that long run all the way up to 100%. Took about 5 hours. So that's totally within the abilities of that 12 hours of time that you have.
Yeah. Awesome. So, in conclusion, in your opinion, how did it perform? And do you think that this will lead to a purchase with Mullen?
Yeah, we are definitely purchasing a Mullen. We're going forward with it. We're going to be the first people in California to own one. We're really excited about it. It's just such a cool looking machine. The moment I posted a picture of it in my driveway to the team on our communication platform, everyone just fell in love with it. It looks cool. It looks cooler than any of the ICE models that have come out before. And it just has so much potential for us with its space. So it was a pretty easy decision to be able to go forward with the Mullen.
Do you think it'll look good in your native poppy peach?
Yeah, we're very excited to wrap it in peach with our giant hand holding flowers on the side of it. Yeah, we get a lot of mentions from around the community when they see our van rolling around. So we're really excited to hear them say, hey, I saw your electric van rolling around San Diego. So awesome. Can't wait to send you guys a photo of that once we get it wrapped.
That's awesome. And then one other follow-up question. You mentioned the level 2 charger that you guys purchased, right? If you can you just give like an approximate cost of around what that total all in was?
Yeah, it wasn't so bad. I got quotes from 4 different electricians. They ranged from $450 to $900. I went with the $450 guy. We just have it going from our circuit breaker down to an outlet. It's only about a 2 front run, very simple. So $450 for the electrician. And then there was a website where I got a charger that has a very simple switch to tell it when to turn on. And that cable cost $299. So what is that? Less than $800 out the door for the whole charging package.
I think you highlighted a great point, right? That you don't have to improve the entire infrastructure of the operation, just to be able to get those cost savings. From what we've been hearing, the amount you'll save just in gas would probably cover that and then some, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. We get charged a lot for electricity here in San Diego. And I did some rough numbers, and it came to, since we have to charge every single night, to about $1,000 in savings over what I estimated from what we paid on gas into 2023.
You also brought up a good point. So you found that, setting a timer, charging at specific times is really the optimal way to go. Just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, we're on tiered pricing in San Diego, so it gets a little cheaper after 9 o'clock and then a lot cheaper after midnight. And so I could wait until after midnight because there's a 9-hour window until my drivers show up at 9 o'clock. I just kind of want that 3-hour driver. The Mullen proved that it could charge within those 9 hours just fine. Just a very easy button to get that to charge at the right time. Just create a new system within our company that when everyone is leaving for the day at 5:30, that they just press the button and make sure it's charging later rather than right at that time, and you get to save a little more money.
All right. Well, Stephen, that's all I got. Thank you for participating in our first Mullen Minutes. And we definitely can't wait to see that wrapped peach van running around San Diego, man.
Yeah, me too. I'll send you a picture as soon as I have it.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.